Hey guys, got more random battles for you. Let's get right into it. I start off with my Galarian Articuno, he starts off with the Cryogonal. Goes for the Rapid Spin, gets the Speed Boost, I go right for the Calm Mind, start setting up. He goes for the Free Dry, and gets that lucky freeze right off the bat. I'm frozen over there. He goes for another Freeze Dry, does another chunk, I'm still frozen. Goes for another Freeze Dry, takes out my bird. I then decide to go into my Colossal. He switches into his Slacking. I go for the Stone Edge, do barely anything to him over there. He goes for the Earthquake, takes out my Colossal. Down 2-0, not a great start. I go into my Lilligant, he then switches into his Azel. I go for the Victory Dance, start setting up right there. I then outspeed and go for the Sleep Power, put him to sleep over there. He's snoring. I then go for another Victory Dance, getting a little greedy over here, but I need to make a comeback. He's still sleeping. Go for the Leaf Blade, take out the Azel. I take a little Life Orb damage. He then decides to go into his Talonflame. I go for the Sleep Powder but completely miss. He goes for the Terra Blast but I'm able to hang on, does barely anything. Then goes for the Brave Bird and takes out my Lilligant. I then go into my Mabalstiff and he decides to switch into his Slacking. Go for the Wild Charge, do a nice chunk to him, take some recoil. I then go for another Wild Charge because I'm banded over here, but he's able to hang on. He whiffs the Giga Impact and then switches into his Eternatus. He starts exerting that pressure. I'm still Wild Charging over here, still taking recoil. Barely do anything to the Dragon over there. I then decide to switch into my Zangoose. He goes for the Dynamax Cannon, knocks me down to about half health. Activate my Toxic Orb, then go for the Terra Normal. He outspeeds, goes for another Dynamax Cannon. I'm able to hang on and take him out with the Facade, but I end up going down to the Toxic. He then goes back into his Slacking. I go back into my Mabalstiff. He then switches right into his Zacian, gets the boost. I go for the Crunch. He resists that, does barely anything. I then go into my Oricorio Pom Pom, goes for the Close Combat, but I'm able to resist that. He loses some defense. He then switches back into the Slacking. I go for the Quiver Dance, trying to set up something over here. Go for the Revelation Dance, take out the Slacking. He then switches back into the Cryogonal. I go for the Roost, try to top myself off for full. He goes for the Freeze Drive, but I'm able to resist it because I'm not flying anymore. Go for the Revelation Dance, do a nice chunk to Cryogonal. He goes for the Flash Cannon, which I'm able to resist. He then switches into his Zacian. I go for another Quiver Dance, just trying to set up everything over here. Go for a Revelation Dance, able to take out the Legend. He then goes back into the Talonflame. I go for a Revelation Dance, able to take out the Talonflame. He goes back into his last mon, the Cryogonal, but then forfeits. Good game. At this time I ask you guys to please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into game 2. I start off with the Sliverwing, he starts off with Groudon. I go for the Flame Charge, he sets up some Stealth Rocks. I then decide to start bulking up right in front of his face, start flexing those muscles. He goes for the T-Wave, gives me that Para. He then goes for the Lava Plume, does a nice chunk to my Slitherwing, but I'm able to hang on. I'm still bulking up over here, sun is still going, lefties are going both ways. He then goes for another Lava Plume, but I'm able to hang on. Go for the Flame Charge, do a big chunk, get a crit and a speed boost, but he hangs on. With my new speed, I'm able to outspeed and take him out with the Leech Life. The sun goes away, and I get some more lefties. He then goes into his Ursaluna, goes for the Protect, trying to scout me out, and my Close Combat then whiffs. Get some more lefties, he gets the burn from his orb, go for another Close Combat, able to take out Ursaluna. I get some more lefties, he then decides to go into his Floatzel, goes for the Aqua Jet, does barely anything to my Slitherwing. I go for the Leech Life, take him out, get a huge chunk of my health back. He then goes into his Breloom, goes for the Mach Punch, does barely anything, takes some Life Orb damage. I then go for the Flame Charge, do a huge chunk, get another speed boost, but Breloom stays in there. I then go for another Flame Charge, take out the Breloom. I get some more lefties recovery. He then goes into his Walking Wake. I go for the Terra Fighting, he goes for the Terra Fire, go for the Close Combat, one-shot the Walking Wake. I then get some lefties, he goes into his last mon, the Gardevoir, goes for the Trick, swaps items with me, but that doesn't matter, go for the Leech Life, and take him out. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into game 3. I start off with my Mabalstiff, he goes with Heracross. I go right for the Psychic Fangs, do a huge chunk. He retaliates with the Trailblaze, gets that speed boost. He then gets burned by his orb. I go for the Terra Fairy, hit him with another Psychic Fangs, take him out. He then goes into his Mess Spirit. I then switch into my Rotom Wash because I'm banded. He goes for the T-Wave, which I'm immune to. I then decide to go for the Nasty Plot right in front of his face. He goes for the Psychic, does a big chunk, but I'm able to hang on. Get some lefties, go for the Discharge, do a little bit over half. He goes for the Encore, now I'm stuck discharging, which I'm totally fine with. He then switches into his Iron Thorns, gets that Quark Drive boost, go for another Discharge, do a nice chunk to the Thorns over there. I then switch into my Pseudo Wudo. He then goes for the Earthquake, does a huge chunk to my tree over here. I get some of my lefties back, goes for another Earthquake, takes out my Pseudo Wudo. I then go into my Sawsbuck, go for the Stomping Tantrum, take out the Iron Thorns, take a little bit of my Life Orb damage. He then goes back into his Mesphere. I go for the Horn Leech, do a huge chunk, get some health back, but he's able to hang on. He goes for the T-Wave, getting that full power on my Deer. He then goes for the Psychic, does a big chunk to my Sawsbuck, but I go for the Horn Leech, able to take him out. Get some health back, but then lose some to Life Orb. He then goes into his Slacking, goes for the Giga Impact, and takes me out. I then switch into my Thundurus, go for the Nasty Plot because I know he can't do anything this turn. He's recharging over there. I then go for the Focus Blast and take out the King. He uses this opportunity to go into his Drift Blimp. I go for the Thunderbolt and take out the Balloon. He then goes into his last mon, the Basculegion, goes for the Terror Ghost. I go for the Thunderbolt, but he's able to just hang on. Goes for the Last Respect, takes out my Thundurus. Then go back into my Mabostuff, go for the Crunch, take out the Basculegion. Good game. Alrighty, and that's the video. If you liked this video, please check out some of the others on the channel and stay tuned for more future content. Peace!